The guy's a genius IQ, and you know, obviously we all know he had serious personal issues, drug problems. He was a degenerate gambler. He loved to bet on everything, sports, golf. I mean, in the golf world, you know, he's legendary for high stakes golf. I can remember Jack Strauss, the 1982 world champion of poker, high stakes gambler, kept trying to lure Stewie out to the golf course. Now, Stu Ungar grew up in New York City. You know, he never played golf in his lifetime. Never had a driver's license in his lifetime, you know. Was playing gin rummy for the Mafia when he was 16 years old. You know, and gin rummy was his game that, you know, when he came to Vegas, he came to play. Every top poker player back in the day was an expert gin rummy player. From Chip Reese, Doyle Brunson, Billy Baxter, Tommy Fisher, Puggy Pearson, Danny Robinson. They all played phenomenal gin rummy, and Stewie came down and mowed them down like they weren't even there. So then he started playing poker in the biggest games with them, even though he didn't really play poker, you know, that much. And when he entered the World Series of Poker for the first time in his life, first time he played no limit was 1980, he won the main event. Next time he played it, he won it again. He won it the last time he played it. To give you an idea of how good Stewie was, you know, in the 80s, as you know, Vince, they had what they called Amarillo Slim Super Bowl of Poker. It was the only other big tournament with a $10,000 buy-in. So you had the World Series of Poker and the Super Bowl of Poker. All the big names played in those events. Only one poker player in history won both of those $10,000 championship events. That player was Stu Ungar, and he won them 3 times each. I mean, just to give you an idea. He might have played 35 big buy-in tournaments in his lifetime, okay, and he won 10 of them. I mean, I know the fields are smaller and blah, 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 but it's just spooky. Unless you saw him, you just can't realize. And when you saw him play gin rummy, it was the scariest thing of all time, how good he was at that. But in golf, he was the biggest sucker that ever walked, probably. Certainly one of them. I mean, he has a story that before or since has never been done in the country, I promise you that. Jack Strauss kept saying, Stewie, there's nothing in poker. He said, you got to get off the golf course. They're playing $100,000 a day on the golf course. You got to come out and play. So finally one day, Stewie agreed to go to the golf course. Now I realized he'd never played golf in his life. So Jack Strauss takes him over to the putting green, the Las Vegas Country Club. And he's showing him, he said, look, you got to put the ball in here. Here's where you got to start. Before you hit balls, putting is what the game is all about. You got to be able to putt good. So he says, here, you try it. So he gives Stewie the putter. And Stewie starts putting the ball a couple times. And the next thing you know, Jack says, okay, he says, you putt it from here. He said, I'm going to putt it from 10 feet away, and I'll bet you 500 on the hole. And Stewie says, you got it. So they start putting for 500 a hole, where Jack is spotting him, you know, 6 feet on a 3-foot putt, for example. And Jack starts beating him. And then they start playing for $1,000. And then they putt from the same place, and Jack spotted him a stroke a hole on the putting green. After a couple hours' time, Jack Strauss beat Stewie out of $78,000 on the putting green. The first time he ever went to a golf course in his lifetime. I promise you, before or since, that's never been done in the history of the United States.